These nuts? Whose nuts? These nuts? My nuts. One of the things that I've unfortunately trained myself to do is every time I cough, I curse at my cough. And it's first started off as a little bit of a joke. So initially I would, cough and not, I wouldn't do it like a fake cough. So, for example, if I happen to swallow the wrong way, water, you sick fucks. So the way that would work is that I will curse out my cough and I'll call it a little bitch. And if I burp too, I also call my burp a cunt. So, that might be off-putting to certain people, but it's something that I've trained my body to do. And it's like Tourette's now, honestly. It's a little bit like Tourette's. Every time I burp or cough or sneeze, it just comes out. I just curse at it. Hopefully I don't do that in front of somebody, maybe like a future employer, maybe trying to get some sort of gig, and I sneeze and I call the sneeze a bitch, a little bitch. Anyways, welcome to another episode of PigCake Plus News. Not a lot of news to talk about, man. There's some drama stuff happening on the YouTube side of things. I guess that's relevant to people. I guess maybe if I include PewDiePie, usually this video is gonna get more views. Trying to squeeze out those views, son. Trying to just jerk them. Give me those views. This channel's not monetized yet because obviously the ratio to watch time, I haven't met that yet. It's kind of a scam, to be honest, the whole thing. But I'm a product of the system, so I have to keep at it. I was at a bar the other day, and this drunk female came into the bar, and she kept saying a bunch of weird shit. But it's funny because this woman made her way through absolutely every male individual at the bar, and she was fucked up. She asked everybody to get her drinks, so she was going to every dude, putting her arm around her. And she didn't look bad, to be honest. She wasn't a bad-looking individual, but she was fucking asking everybody for drinks, and she was drunk as shit. And her intro line was a little bit interesting because she would approach you and say, "I lost my phone and my wallet. Could you get me a drink?" And she was all fucked up, and she puts her arm around my friend, and she's like, "Could you get me a drink? I lost my phone and my wallet." And then my other friend asked her and broke her down logically, saying, "So how'd you get here? Uber. How'd you request the Uber?" "My phone." And turns out she had her phone in her back pocket. It's a wonderful world we live in. She also asked my friend for coke on the way out. As she left, she was like, "Hey, do you have cocaine?" And she got out. Those people exist, Those sort of people exist in this world. And if anything, I'm giving you guys an indicator that you're gonna get exposed to that. If you're out in the town enough, you're gonna expose to dumb thoughts like that. I remember I had to have somebody, a younger person, explain to me what a thought was. That was kind of an embarrassing moment in my life. You always assume, oh, I'm of age, I'm hip, I'm down with the crowd, and then somebody younger than you explains to you a term that everybody else supposedly knows of that same age group, and you feel old. It really makes you feel old, and I'm getting that feeling now, man. I definitely don't want to admit it. I don't like admitting it, but 100% I'm getting that feeling that I'm getting way too old for this shit. So I guess the reason I mention that female at the bar is advice. Advice, to be honest. It's to tell you that you should not be that person. You shouldn't be that person. If you're a female or a male, you shouldn't do that. And if you are a male, you shouldn't get with the female that does that, because she is a walking STD. She is literally walking gonorrhea. You stick it in her once and you're going to have an itchy dick for the rest of your life. So if anything, take this piece of advice from the old pigget here, not to stick your dick in crazy. And if that's how she is drunk, could you imagine her sober? She has to have gotten drunk for a reason. It's not like she's just going around getting fucked up. I think it was even a Thursday. Yeah, it was a Thursday night. So this female has to wake up presumably the next day for work or school or whatever. And she's just hammered to the point where she's just asking random strangers for coke and drinks. I can almost guarantee you will wake up with an itchy dick if you stick it inside her and think, "Man, yeah, I bagged this hot chick the other day." No, you were pretty much the victim. She used you for a free beverage and or stimulation of her clitorati. So what's on the news today? We have PewDiePie. PewDiePie released a video recently where he gave a shout out to about 20 YouTubers, and one of them made anti-Semitic jokes 4 years ago, and now The Verge, the fucking Verge, which used to be good. I gotta tell you, even though the Verge, I was gonna call it the Jerk, even though the Verge has always had a little bit of a left-leaning edge to it, which is expected. It's in Silicon Valley. It's always had that sort of edge to it. They always have wonderful reviews. I know that they have a dude that used to do reviews for Palm back in the day, Dieter Bohn. I think that might be his name. He's a wonderful columnist. But man, whenever they come out with these just fucking social justice warrior articles defending these, blue-haired hippies that their parents are loaded and they're complaining how they're fucking oppressed, and they don't know what fucking oppression is. They don't know what oppression is. To them, oppression is being called a dirty name. That's oppression. Whereas you go somewhere to like Africa, where young girls are getting, circumcised against their will. That's fucking oppression. But no, they're oppressed because somebody called them fat. Oh, you got called fat. Oh. But so The Verge, I went on a tangent there. The Verge came out with an article here calling PewDiePie an anti-Semite because he happened to have, once again, shouted out somebody with that had made anti-Semitic jokes. I don't understand what the end goal is. Well, I do. The end goal is to kind of diminish the power of the individual because, The Verge is owned by a parent company, and then that parent company is owned by another fucking company. And that's the mainstream media. And honestly, the mainstream media is terrified of the individual and the power of the individual. You have somebody like PewDiePie that has more subscribers than some countries have people in it. And, with one video, PewDiePie is able to pretty much he can make a minute video of him just looking straight into the camera. No editing, no cuts, no work on the audio, no lights, nothing. Just him staring at the camera. And he'll get millions of views in less than 24 hours. Media companies crave that. They fucking want that badly. They want what he has as an individual. And yeah, he has a team editing, and yeah, he has a team behind him. But pretty much he's a sole individual. He brought it up by himself. And again, you have something like The Verge that has millions of dollars back in it. You have the Verge, which is split into many different sort of subsects. I think they do Polygon. I know Joshua Topolsky, I think he started that before. This is my next. He got out of Engadget, and then I think The Verge was a little bit of a startup thing that he got with some funds from higher ups. But it's kind of this weird sort of fear that they have that any sort of an opportunity to bash on an individual creator for making a joke, they'll make it seem like he's an anti-Semite. They'll call somebody they'll call someone like Ben Shapiro a racist Nazi. Ben Shapiro, who's the Jewiest Jew who's ever Jewed in the history of Jews, they'll call a Nazi. So, to each their own, but they have a little bit of a hit piece here on PewDiePie, and I found that interesting. He's really changed his tone. PewDiePie has this stigma attached to him that he's still that scream sort of streamer or gamer where he screams at games and shit. But he's really kind of come through and really has provided content that's entertaining, at least to me. So, at least that's kind of a shitty thing every time I see one of these hit pieces trying to kind of get Pewds. Sub Pewds, by the way. I don't know if I've said that enough. Let me see if there's anything else here on the Twitterverse. Twitter is another one of these social media apps that is just ridiculous. I've bought a couple different third-party apps, but they're always laggy. They never update on time. They're kind of shit. So they're kind of forcing you to be on the actual official Twitter app. But then you go to Moments, the Moments section, and you get these spoon-fed articles about fucking John Oliver and Stephen Colbert. But they have all these weird made-up arbitrary hashtags that are promoted, at least now. So, when I'm filming this, recording this, there's a lot of stuff on Monday Night Football. So it's the rare time when there isn't a lot of individual things. But I've also blocked a lot of things that come up on that Moments thing in the hope that I'm going to cater Twitter towards me. You would think that maybe they would cater it towards things that you like, things that you retweet. No, they cater it to things that they want you to see, which is kind of a shame. And there's really no competition for Twitter. You have Gab, but Gab is kind of anything goes. It has a really weird stigma to it. That's kind of the only thing that has a little bit of funding. You have other kind of alternatives, but really nothing is as comprehensive or has a huge user base like Twitter. So you're kind of forced to use it. Here's a fun one. Burger King. Burger King is in the news because in a way, to get people to join their app, what they're doing is that they have a promotion where if you are within, I think, 100 or 500 feet of a McDonald's, this is one of those numbers. I forgot the article that I was reading, but it's one of those. And pretty much what happens is that on the app, you pick the Burger King app. If you're within 500 feet of a McDonald's, the Whopper comes up as a discount all the way to 1 cent. So apparently you could buy a Whopper for 1 cent if you're near McDonald's, and then it tells you directions to the nearest BK. So then you can pick up your Whopper and supposedly eat it. I don't know what the caveats are. I know that they have to have some sort of weird rule, but I haven't done it yet. I haven't done that. I haven't, been on my fat tip recently, but I feel like I should maybe review the Whopper on the channel. Do a little bit of a hot PigCake Plus food review. Those seem to have been the trend on YouTube a couple years ago. Now that we're talking about fast food, let's talk about the king of fast food. And I mentioned this before, but I can't help but mention it again every time. The cheeseburger from McDonald's is the greatest cheeseburger in all of history. I know people might debate that and they say, oh, but I've had gourmet cheeseburgers that are, I've had gourmet cheeseburgers that I've spent a pretty penny on back in the day. Do I regret them? Yes, I do. I do regret it because I do think that $35 to $45 for a single cheeseburger is fucking expensive. But you know what? Sometimes you have to treat yourself. And, you got a nice bonus from the old previous gig. So you're like, yeah, I'm gonna treat myself here. Maybe treat the lady friend. And then you end up with a fat bill. Is that comparable to the McDonald's cheeseburger? No. Nope. Not even close. Why? Because you're paying 99 cents, sometimes $1.29 for the consistency and the taste and the bun and the perfect ratio of ketchup, the perfect ratio of mustard, the absolute legend of the pickle and the bun, the top bun that you could just sink your hands in. If they used the bun from the filet o fish sandwich on a cheeseburger, it would be over. Wars would cease. All if they use the fish fillet bun on the regulation cheeseburger, it would be over. The cheeseburger bun is already amazing, but add the fish fillet bun to that, and you got yourself a fucking burger, son. It's consistent, it's cheap. You could go through like 9 of those, and it's only gonna cost like $9 fucking bucks, dude. You're gonna compare that to something that cost you $45? Yeah, it might taste a little bit better. But is it reliable? No. And you can't just drop that on a daily basis. You could drop it I could find couch cushions right now. I could look through my couch cushions and find 99 cents to put together for that McDonald's cheeseburger. That McDonald's cheeseburger is definitely the best one. And I'll say it here again, Taco Bell is the greatest restaurant of all time. Again, barring any sort of, you might say, I've been to these fancy restaurants. So what? You can't tell me that it's better than Taco Bell at 2 o'clock in the morning. I resent that. I resent that people think that there are better restaurants than Taco Bell. Here's an interesting story out of J-Lo Pinknick. J-Lo Knit. I can't pronounce that correctly. It seems to be some sort of millennial blog here, whatever. But it says carts these days, too big, especially if you're just driving around together. But what if you could take all the things that make a regular car good and put them in a smaller package? Apparently there's a city in Georgia called Peachtree City. They have a separate road network for golf carts. So you could drive golf carts anywhere you want because the streets accommodate for the carts themselves. There's over 9,000 golf carts in the town as a result. And the high school has a golf cart specific parking lot. And the McDonald's happens to happily accept golf carts in its drive-thru, as you can see by the video that they showed in this particular blog. You know what I would love? I would love the opposite for that to happen. So instead of having the roads that accommodate for a golf cart like in this city, they've thought ahead. What I want is for golf carts to be incorporated into traffic, especially down here, where everybody seems to drive as if they actually literally have some sort of emergency, or they have a something actually stuck inside of the rectum, and they're just driving to the hospital, and they have to, hold it in so that it doesn't shoot out and their insides fall out of their sphincter, and while still trying to drive to the local hospital. That's how everyone drives here, without the necessity and or priority and or importance of that example. So they're just driving like that, to go to the Starbucks. They're driving like that to get to the parking lot of the mall, irrelevant shit, but that's how they drive. Add golf carts to that, you're gonna have a great fucking time. You're gonna have a great time. Just pull up in front of one of these highways, just grab a lawn chair in front of US 1, grab some popcorn, maybe a cheeseburger from McDonald's, maybe 2 cheeseburgers, maybe 3 cheeseburgers from McDonald's. Grab those bitches and watch the show of golf carts in the same street as fucking cars. God. One of the things that I think the previous mayor, maybe the mayor before that, when they tried to do is that they incorporated bikes into the regular roads. So you have, a couple of these major streets down here, and you have bicyclists taking up the entire road. And, there's always a tragedy when a bicyclist gets hit, and they're always a great person, and, they got hit and we can't believe it. But at the same time, they don't abide by the same fucking rules of the other drivers on the road. So you have bicyclists that run red lights, that they don't care about stop signs, and then they'll complain. They'll have the audacity to point at you when you're coming in. It's your right of way. They're trying to cross when they're supposed to stop with the rest of traffic, and then they look at you like, "Oh, you almost hit me, motherfucker." Yeah, bitch, because I'm following the rules of the road. But now they made it so that the bikes are incorporated into the main streets, and it's always a fun thing to see a car driving at 10 miles per hour. And you're wondering, why is this car in front of me driving 10 miles per hour? Why is this Suburban? Why is this Escalade in front of me driving at fucking 10 miles per hour? And then you cut it off. You try to go on the left lane. This is on the right lane. You try to get on the left lane, and you realize, oh, it's not the Escalade. It's not the Suburban. It's not this horse-powered vehicle designed by fucking robots to hit, a max speed of 120 miles per hour if you're winging it. It's the bicyclist that's in front of the vehicle. It's the bicyclist that's taking up the entire lane in front of the vehicle. And then they're doing a signal thing. I've seen bicyclists do the signals. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but they have certain signals that you have to have as a bicyclist. Your arm extended is I'm turning left here. Your arm, I think curved is, I'm turning right here, whatever. I don't know. Nobody knows them. Nobody knows those fucking signals. I don't think they even test that in driving school down here. But yet you still have these bicyclists doing these signals, and then they get upset when you don't know what they mean. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna sit down and throw back a fucking drink while I read through the biker's manual. You selfish cunt. I'm not a fan of bicyclists. That's obvious from here. I used to bicycle everywhere back in the day. Before I had a vehicle, I would bicycle everywhere. I was very, very fit. Now I've replaced that with jogging. I'm even fitter now. You thought that was going to end in me saying, oh, I'm fat now. No, I'm even fitter now because you know what? I put the cards down. All right, I go outside. I put the playing cards down. I do outdoor activities. But the point is that, you still, even as a former bicyclist myself, I treated that with the same sort of treatment that you would if you are following the rules of the road. I stopped at every stop sign. I didn't go on the road when I didn't have to. I was on a sidewalk. I was always on the right side of the sidewalk, the one that I'm supposed to be on, so I could let the other pedestrians coming through. I had a bell that I would respectfully ring whenever I was too close to you. I wouldn't cross the street without looking both ways. As a matter of fact, I would get off of the bike to cross the street. When it's my right of way, I'm pedestrian of the fucking year, because when I would cross the street, get to the other side, I'd get off my bike and walk with the bike across the street, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do as a pedestrian. And I run across the street because I don't want to hold back the cars that are trying to turn. Again, if more people had that mentality, we would have less traffic. But instead, we have selfish motherfuckers with apparent glass jars in their assholes driving at 100 miles per hour. And then you have these bicyclists that are also driving without any care to the rules of the road. Sorry, I turned this little bit into a rant on bicyclists and shitty drivers. But you know what? I have to. Oh man, driving to the store to get groceries. If I don't almost die, I wonder what the hell's going on. It's gone to that point. If I'm not in at least 2 near head-on collisions, I wonder if there's some sort of event taking place that's taking account of all the drivers or whatever, or holding up all the drivers. I wonder. That's it's become normal. Oh, a car coming towards me head on. All right, let me just try to merge onto the sidewalk here. Okay, that's cool. God damn it. Google's shutting down Google Plus. That's about fucking time. Google Plus, if you guys don't know what Google Plus is, if you make a YouTube channel or a Gmail or any service that requires Google services, they pretty much force you on their social network. And their social network is pretty much like a Facebook sort of thing, but the only difference is that they have circles. So you can have close circles, you can have really big circles, where you have hundreds of people. You can have tiny circles where you have 5 friends or whatever. It was garbage, and now they're shutting it down. And I think this article is alluding to the fact that they might shut it down early. So it's The Verge, going back to The Verge. But yeah, Google Plus is one of those things that they pretty much forced on you if you had any sort of service. And now that they're shutting it down, I gotta say, good thing, good riddance. Good riddance for that. I remember wondering how it worked, why it is that I had to sign into a bunch of accounts in order to just make a note on Google Keep. And you have to sign into about 4 different accounts. And then you have a Google Plus email, and then you have a Google email, and then you have a YouTube email, and then you have a bunch of other emails. And it's like, why? Why, Google? Why do you do this? Another thing that I recently found out, by recently I mean like 2 years ago, is anytime you do a voice search on Google, they save that shit. You can actually find them. If you go to your Google sort of information, you could see previous voice searches, and you could see and hear every single voice search that you've ever done, at least logged into that account. So anytime you search up, hey, how long is Axl Rose's dick? Hey, what do I do about my scratch, my itch in my asshole? Does it mean that I'm not wiping thoroughly enough? Anytime you've done that, pretty much Google saved that. Google has saved that somewhere in a database. That exists somewhere. Attached to your name, by the way. It's not like it's just there floating randomly. It's definitely attached to their name. I think the quote is, if the product is free, you are the product. I think that's the quote. I forgot who said that. But typically that means that if the product is free and you sign up for it, then the product is you. You are the product. So they're going to sell your information to third-party retailers, to anybody that's asking for your information, they're going to sell it to. And I know this because you get calls every single day from these random fucking numbers, and you wonder why, how. I'm not open with my information, but you still get phone calls from random states asking you about your insurance, about your credit card, asking you about dumb shit, and you're like, this is definitely Google's fault. Google's trying to sell my fucking information to the highest bidder. But yeah, just be aware of that. If you have ever made any sort of nefarious searches where you do a voice search because your hands are occupied, maybe you might say, okay, Google, how do I fix this itch because I can't touch my wiener because my hands are occupied because, they have the yeast infection on them or whatever. Google's heard that. I think we would all be completely, utterly fucked if they release our information. I think I've mentioned this again before, but Google would completely fucking own us if they say, you know what, if you don't meet our demands, we're going to release all of everybody's information. All the text messages that they have on their server, all the fucking Google searches that you've made, all the private ones that you've made, which they still keep cookie information. You think you go to incognito mode and they don't keep information about you? You are falling prey, son. You are getting fooled. They're laughing at your ass. They're over there in Google headquarters laughing at your ass, being like, ha, this dude's looking up for male bubble butts. Ha ha, this dude's looking up for catheter porn. They got you, son. You can't get away from the YouTube machine, from the Google machine, rather. Even YouTube keeps your history. So anytime you try to look up, male dancing techniques, they know. And then guess what? Your recommended feed is permeated with male dancing. for the next 3 months. I think that's it. I think that's it for the news today. I'll be trying to drop these more regularly. It's just that I've been working on some other projects for the bigger channel, but I still haven't forgotten the PigCake Plus. I still haven't forgotten the PigCake Plus community here. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for listening. I'm gonna go figure out different ways to watch a Instax camera to watch one